Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I did chop my hair. I've been planning to do this for a long time. I wanted to grow my hair for my wedding and then chop it right after, and I just never got up the nerve. But new year, new me, it was time, and I'm so happy with it. Literally just got the haircut today. I also figured that it was apropos of today's video, which is my makeup inventory. In fact, a two-parter makeup inventory. Every single year I count up all of the makeup products in my collection around late November, December, even early January to figure out what the total number of makeup products in my collection is, because I loosely keep track of how many products are coming in, how many are going out throughout the year, but it's good to have one full snapshot at least once a year. I also do this kind of in June. You know, every 6 months I like to take stock, but my June look at my collection is more about what my goals are and figuring out how closely I'm adhering to like the number of products that I want in each category of my makeup collection. So if you haven't seen them, I will link last year's makeup inventory series, it's a two-parter, and my 2025 like halfway through the year makeup goals inventory video. So I have already filmed this, and so I now know the total number of makeup products in my collection. I don't want to spoil it because if you've been watching my videos, you know I have been trying to get down to 125 makeup products all year. That has been my main goal, and so now I know if I achieve that goal, but I don't want to give it away. Of course, I want you to watch the full inventory, and so you're gonna find out, just like I did at the very end of the inventory, at the end of part 2, whether in fact I achieved that goal or not. So this is part 1. I'm doing all of my face products, you know, foundation, concealer, blush, bronzer, and then I also do mascara. But in the second part, that is when I look at eyeshadow, single eyeshadows, eyeliner, and all of my lip products. Honestly, the lip product collection could be its own video because it is so large. And actually, when I was filming, I didn't figure out the total number of lip products in my collection, so I don't know what that is now, but when I'm editing I will make sure to insert that because I'm super curious what that is. Last year I think I had around 40 or 42 lip products, and I really wanted to get lower than that because that's just a lot of lip products. So we are going to see. I am excited for you to find out how my makeup collection is doing this year, if I have managed to curate it down or not. So let's just get into it. One last thing before I get into the video, I just wanted to give a little reminder that I have launched my memberships here on YouTube just a couple of months ago. If you become a member, you get early access to videos. I am also doing dedicated videos for members. I'm open to suggestions of what those videos should be about, whether it's like, you know, travel vlogs / lifestyle vlogs, book content, I love talking about books, or more beauty content. Would love to make other videos, and yeah, I'm happy to make them depending on what you guys want to see more of. If you want to join my membership, it is only $1.49 per month Canadian, so it's less than $1 per month USD. And I so appreciate all of you who have joined my membership so far. It does really help in terms of making YouTube a bit more sustainable because of, you know, the amount of time that I spend that goes into making these videos. That compensation is so valued and it makes me feel very grateful. So I would love to have you join my membership. That's it. Just wanted to do a quick plug and a reminder that I have a couple of dedicated members videos that if you become a member today, you can go watch them. And I am about to film a favorite books of 2025 if you're interested in seeing that. But again, open to filming whatever kind of content you want to see, beauty and makeup included. Let's get into the video. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to this year's makeup inventory, a very long awaited video. I swear I had comments from people asking if I was going to do a makeup inventory back in like September, October, and I was like, yes, I will, don't worry. But that is an end of the year video, so it will be a few more months until it happens. And so here we are. I'm sitting down. Well, actually, I'm standing. Hopefully you guys are sitting. But we're gonna start, as always, with foundations. So how I tend to do these is I start with foundation, then I do concealer, bronzer, blush, powder. Like I do face products first, And then this is always a 2-part series. So in the second part, that is when I focus on eyeshadows, mascaras, and all manner of lip products. I divide it up by like lipsticks, lip gloss, lip liners, all that. But the first part is going to be face products. So let's just get into it. I have my list pulled up that tells me exactly how many products I have had in each category in previous years. And so I am going to go through that as we go through each category, because I think that's a really interesting comparison. I feel like my collection doesn't change too much from year to year, but it changes a bit. And so, yeah, we're just going to see how much it has changed, how much it has decreased in size this year. That is always the goal, but let's just get into it. I think let's start with oldest to newest. So these are my Fenty Ease Drops. I'm getting close to the bottom of these. I can tell because whenever I use some, it's like getting hard to squeeze it out. There's not too much left. So I've had to start to grapple with the question of if I am going to repurchase. And I'm not sure, because I do love trying new products. And there's even another Fenty product that I would be interested in trying, a thicker foundation. I do love this foundation, and I also love the fact that it's like a bit lighter in shade. The rest of these foundations are just a touch too deep, and so it's a good balance out. So like if I repurchase it, I think I would purchase it in this slightly too light shade. It is the shade 2. I think a 3 would be better, but again, just to balance out the other foundations, I think it is a good one. But I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to repurchase this, because there is another foundation that I actually want. I've been talking for a while about a stick foundation. I really have missed my Merit stick foundation ever since I panned it. And so I'm going to be replacing that at some point. And so that I think will serve as my like light foundation. So I don't know. This is also light coverage. I don't know if I need 2 light coverage foundations. We're just going to have to see as we get into 2026. But for now, still really enjoying this foundation. And it's just such a good mix with any of these. The next one is my e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I am kind of over this product. I just want it to be finished. It is just too deep. Like you can tell. Look at what a significant difference it is between those two. I can't remember if it's that, because this was a present for my partner. Don't know if I thought that the wrong shade would be correct or if he did, like he chose it out. I don't know, but either way, not the right shade for me. But also, that's not even the main issue. The main issue is that this is too glowy. It's so, it's just like oily. Like I cannot use it on its own. The whole idea of this was I wanted it either to be like a base under makeup, or I wanted to be able to wear this if I wanted like a very light coverage day. But it's just so shiny that I could absolutely never get away with wearing this on its own. Like, no, it's not happening. I have to, if I'm trying to do a light coverage day, then I will do this with a lot of concealer, or I will combine it with this. I would never wear it just on its own. It just does not work. I did consider decluttering this year. I might at some point, but for now I'm going to try to finish it. I think that there's a lot left. It's really hard to tell with this, but at one point I was able to shine it like to the light, and it was like more than half full. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all of that, but I'm going to give it at least a few more months of effort. We are getting to the 2-year point with this, so it probably should be panned or decluttered this year. I might put this into my project pan in 2026. Yeah, now I've learned that I don't like products like this, so I guess that was a good teaching moment. This is the Unleasha foundation. This is similarly too deep for me, but it works well in combination with other foundations. It is just a bit too like thick. Like it's more heavy coverage than I would like. So I don't love this one. I do like the packaging. I think that that's so funky, but yeah, not a huge fan. It's funny, the only one that I purchased myself of these 4 was this one. This one my partner purchased me, like not out of the blue, I specifically asked for, and then these ones my mom gave to me. Although
I do feel like that's kind of how a lot of my makeup collection is, because I don't purchase very much makeup anymore. I receive makeup as gifts, like I specifically ask for them. I really like the practice of receiving makeup as presents because that sort of drives home to me that I should not be purchasing makeup, and it's like a special occasion to bring new makeup into my collection. I always want it to feel like a big deal whenever I get new makeup. And then a lot of makeup products are decluttered to me. So yeah, I just don't purchase too much of my makeup myself, which sort of skews the way that my collection looks, I think, because it's not always as curated if it's products that I have been decluttered, but it also is good because it allows me to try out products that I might not have chosen myself. For example, this one, when my mom gave it to me, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna like this, because I think I owned this before. I think Shauna actually decluttered this, or a previous version of this Maybelline Dream BB Fresh to me like years and years ago, and I didn't like it very much. But this one I actually really, really like. At least I like it in combination with the Fenty Ease Drops. I just think this is a beautiful combination. These two, this is what I have brought on both of my most recent trips, and I've been really happy with the way that my skin has looked. Because I don't love a heavy coverage, and the way that these combine, it's just super natural. Sorry, my hand looks kind of weird, it's so veiny. But yeah, I have surprisingly been really, really enjoying this. At first, when my mom passed it on to me, I was like, I don't even know if I should open it. I might actually declutter it to someone else before even trying it. But my curiosity got the better of me, and I'm so glad it did because I love it. Yeah, so these two I really, really like. These two I quite do not like. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I think that this category will change significantly in 2026 because I can foresee myself panning these, decluttering this, and then getting a new stick foundation. So yeah, I think this category is going to look quite different next year, but same with last year. Like, this category was quite different last year as well. I also had 4 foundations, but when I started filming this inventory, I had 6, and then I actually decluttered 2 on the spot during that inventory. But yeah, similarly last year, I had 4 foundations, but they were not the exact same. I had the Dior foundation, and I did not have this one. This past June, I had 5 foundations, so I did pan that Dior one since my last sort of inventory. I mean, it's not an inventory, but in June every year, I look at my whole collection and I try to figure out what my makeup goals are and if I'm happy with the overall size of my collection and the different categories. And yeah, that is a video where I got really serious about wanting to get down to 125 makeup products this year. At that point, I was at 137.5 makeup products. So I needed to get out 13 makeup products, well, 12.5, in order to get down to the size I wanted, and that was only 6 months ago. So I really got to work since then, but yeah, my foundations went from 5 to 4. Okay, we've been yapping about this too much, so let's move on to concealers. Okay, so I have 2 concealers. They're both actually NYX, and I really like both of them. This is the NYX Bear With Me concealer, and both of these I was actually influenced to purchase in part by Julia Adams. I really like this concealer, but I've realized I actually like a heavier duty concealer. I like a light covered foundation and a heavy duty concealer, and this is more of a light concealer, but I do really like it. This is a great one to have in my collection. I've had it for like a year and a half, and it's not even half done, which is remarkable because for most of that year and a half, this was the only concealer in my collection. But I guess I just don't use very much concealer. I'm not sure, or I usually use it with my fingers, and so not as much gets wasted with the sponge or the brush. But yeah, really like this concealer. And then this one I purchased in April because I ended up doing my own wedding makeup, and I realized that I needed a heavier duty concealer that just was not going to cut it. I really wanted to be able to bake my under eyes and, you know, highlight the face, and so I purchased this on recommendation from Julia Adams, and I love it. I feel like this one I've got through so much more Like, look at that. It just moves so much quicker than this one, because this has 9.6 milliliters and this has, oh wow, 0.32 fluid ounces, and this is 0.05 fluid ounces. That's tiny. I wish that this was bigger, because every single time I use it, like, I can actually see how much is being used. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just like, you draw it. And that's just a tiny amount. I usually use so much more than that. So you can see it's a lot lighter, but I did that intentionally because I really wanted to be able to highlight and sculpt my face. So I use this when I'm doing heavier coverage makeup, if, you know, like for my wedding, or if I have an event or someone else's wedding. Love this concealer. I already know that this is going to be a repurchase, and I'm probably going to want this in my collection at all times, whereas this I think could fluctuate. I don't know for sure that I'm going to repurchase this, but this one is already a yes. So 2 concealers. In June, I similarly had 2 concealers. In December last year, I had 1 concealer. Before that, I had 1 and then 2. So I've sort of gone back and forth between having 1 and 2 concealers, because I think that that's kind of the max number of concealers I need. I need a heavier coverage, I need a lighter coverage. And that's about it. Like, that's, why would I need more variety than that, you know? So really happy with this part of my collection. Moving on to bronzers. Let's start with cream bronzers. I don't differentiate between contours, contours and bronzers, because I just don't have very many of each, so I just put them all in one category. Well, you know, 2 categories, cream/liquid and powder. So let's again start with the oldest. We've got the e.l.f. Halo Glow Contour. I have the shade light/medium. I feel mixed about this product. I do like it, but it's definitely not a repurchase. I find it a very easy to use bronzer, which I appreciate. Like, I could just swipe a tiny bit on my cheek and blend it out with any brush and I'm good to go. But that's not how I like to use bronzer. Like, if I want to use bronzer, I want my cheekbones to stand out. You know, I'm not just trying to add some glow to the face. I don't ever feel the need to do that. So if I want to do a light face of makeup, then I usually just want to do blush. If I want to do a heavier face of makeup, then I want to really sculpt my cheeks, in which case I would use this LYS bronzer. So I have been trying to pan this year. There's not too much left, so I will go ahead and put this in my project pan for 2026, because I just don't think it's something that I get very much organic use out of. I'm not an organic bronzer user. Yeah, the color I want on my face is pink. It is blush. It is not brown contour. Whereas this one, I really enjoy this LYS bronzer. I do find it more challenging to use because you can't just like swipe it on and then easily blend it out. I need to be very precise with my application when I'm using this. I mean, I don't have to be, but if I want that really sculpted look, then I need to be careful with my application. Generally, I will put it on the back of my hand, and then from there I will use a brush and blend it out on my cheeks. You can see it's quite a bit of a deeper shade, so that is also part of the reason why I need to be so careful with it, because otherwise it can get really muddy. I mean, you can see they're both deep, but the LYS one is quite a bit deeper. So this really does help when I want to have sculpted cheekbones. But again, I need to have time when I'm doing my makeup to be able to really sculpt out those cheekbones. So yeah, really enjoying this. This one I mostly just want to be finished. Let's move on to my powder bronzers. So this is from the Quebec brand Personnel. This is 25 grams. Like, I cannot even... 25 grams is huge. I think this one is 2.5 grams. Oh, they're each 2.5. Okay, so this is 5. So this is 5 times bigger rather than 10 times bigger. but I did hit a baby pan in it just a couple months ago, which I'm really, really thrilled about. Now, I'm not deluding myself into thinking that that means I will be able to finish this within the next few months, but I do see it as a sign, as a positive sign. Because I've never really cared about bronzer, I haven't gone down the route of like buying different ones and finding something that really, really works for me. I just kind of use what I have. So I don't use this that much organically. If I'm doing a, full face of makeup, sculpted cheek with that cream bronzer, then I will also use this. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm not reaching for a bronzer for either of these. This one, I'm kind of liking less and less. This is a duo from Kevyn Aucoin. This is the contour shade, and this is, kind of a highlight shade. I just find that this gets messy and muddy so easily, especially when I'm putting it on top of cream bronzer. It always looks like, thick and muddy on my cheeks. I don't really like that. This I could probably use on a day-to-day basis as like an inner corner of the eye highlight, you know what I'm saying? Or in the brow bone, or just as a regular highlight. I haven't, but I should put this into some kind of project next year to try to get more use out of it, or to determine if it's just time to declutter this, because I find it challenging to use it organically, because I don't always like the look. So yeah, those are my 4 bronzers. Comparing to previous years, I had the exact same bronzers in June, both cream and powder. And then in December 2024, I had 1 cream bronzer and 2 powder bronzers. So last year, I only had this bronzer and not this one, but I had both of these. So my bronzer category really has not changed very much in the past few years, because again, I'm just not adventurous with bronzers, but I'm happy with the small size of this collection. It suits my needs. Okay, here we have the powder category. And by that, I mean my one and only powder. Woo! This category is pretty impressive, I must say. I did have 3 powders like a month or 2 ago, but I panned both of them. If I look at my category from just June, I had 3. Last December, I had 3. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about this. It didn't come out of the blue. I did see it coming. You would know if you have been watching my recent videos. I panned both my MAC powder and my Nude by Nature powder. The Nude by Nature powder was a translucent loose powder, and that is how I learned to bake with makeup. And so since I've done that, I've been changed, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to repurchase a loose powder, because I feel like for so long that part of makeup was just like off limits to me. I did not know how people got their face so like sculpted looking with the shadows of the light and the dark. But for my wedding, I was like, I need to learn. And so with that NYX concealer and with my loose powder, I learned to bake. And so I'm planning to either repurchase or ask for as a present the Huda loose powder, because that's the one that I feel like most people rave about, and it seems to be the best for setting or baking. So that one I think will be coming into my life soon. I will need to repurchase a regular pressed powder at some point, but I feel like I've got some time with this one. So I can figure that out at a later date. But if you do have recommendations for a pressed powder, please do let me know. I feel like the first one that comes to mind for me is the e.l.f. one. That one seems to be very popular, at least from the drugstore. When I think of high-end pressed powders, I think of the Charlotte Tilbury one. I know people love that one, so I could go either way. I feel like those are the top 2 in mind. I could either go with a like under $10 one, or like, I don't know, what's the Charlotte Tilbury one? Probably like $55. So we'll just see. It also kind of depends when I finish this powder, because if it's close to June, then maybe I would ask for it as a birthday present. But if it's just like March or something and I'm buying it myself, I probably would just pick up the e.l.f. one. But I do really want that Charlotte Tilbury one, especially because it is refillable, and that's so cool. Anyways, enough yammering on about products that I do not currently have. I should probably talk about the one that I do have. This is from CoverGirl. This is one of the clean pressed powders. This has been at the drugstore for so long. I think this is the third one that I have finished. I remember I had one with like turquoise packaging, and then I had another one that was like this sort of deep brown black packaging. So I've been through many of these, and I do think that they're good. Like, I think that this is a good drugstore powder. I have no issues with it. It's just that because it doesn't blow my mind, I want to try something else. And yeah, it keeps breaking, which is frustrating. It's got these little pieces. I think that I am going to put those pieces into a different container, depot them, and then crush those up and use it kind of like a loose powder. But loose powder to me doesn't really hit the same when it's not a really light shade or really translucent. Like, I tried to bake with this on my trip because we had this really fancy event. It was at the Natural History Museum in London, actually, and I was like, my makeup needs to be on fleek, as they say. So I tried to bake, and it just didn't hit because it wasn't giving me those really like light parts of the face, because this just is not super light on my skin tone. So anyways, I just realized it's New Year's coming up, and I like to do really, really, you know, good makeup for New Year's. Obviously, I like to take my time and enjoy it, and I'm not going to be able to bake for that. I wonder if I could bake with a like like a white eyeshadow. Is that too much? By the time this goes up, it might be too late. But tell me what you think in comments. Please give me feedback below on if I should bake with a white eyeshadow rather than with a face powder. It's got to be like made up of the same things, right? Anyways, this is a good powder. When I first hit pan, I was like, oh man, I'm going through this so quickly. I'm going to be done it in a month or two. Alas, no. There's still a lot of product left. Probably this will take until like, I think halfway through the year, really. But we'll see. Yeah, this whole category just has one product. Isn't that incredible? But it's just by happenstance again. Like, I will be getting at least one new powder very soon. It's just due to timing that I don't have it yet. Let's talk about highlights. So this is another category where I actually could have more, but it's just because of timing that I don't. It's end of December right now, so I have asked for a couple new makeup products as presents for Hanukkah / Christmas / New Year's. We sort of celebrate all of the three major religions. So yeah, I don't have it yet, but I am hoping to get a new cream highlight very shortly as a present. But for now, because I did finish the one and only cream highlight I had, which was the Merit one, I only have powder ones. So let's talk about them. I used to have 3.5 powder highlights, but I have gotten it down to 3 because this had broken, and so I had depotted the broken pieces into a container, which took me actually years. Like, I'm not exaggerating here. I was working on that for years, and I finally finished it very, very recently. And so I had counted that as a 0.5 and this as 1. So now all I have left is this, and it doesn't look like that much product is left because, you know, that's the pan of the product. Of course, it's a very, very shimmery, very, very highlighty highlight. So I think this could still take a while, but clearly there's not tons left. So I'm willing to bet that this will be finished at some point in 2026. It will be going into the project pan at some point, but I've had this for so many years. This actually predates my conscious consumerism journey. Don't try to figure out how long that's been, because I don't think you want to know, but it's still just as good, just the same as it was when I first purchased it. So this is a really great product, but it is MAC, so I would not repurchase because MAC is not cruelty free, but I have felt blessed to have it all these years. It's just such a blingy highlight. And then we've got the Becca highlight. This is just a mini, and I've really only been getting more use out of it the past couple months. Since I finished that MAC 0.5 powder highlight, I have been using this, and you can see that there's a bit of an indent now in the center there, because this has been the main highlight that I reached for over the past couple months. But I've come to realize it's just not as good as the MAC one. It is a bit more powdery. Like, I don't want my powder highlight to look like powder. I want it to just be highlight. And this does look a bit powdery. Let me swatch all of them. Look at that. This one is more pinky also. And I haven't used this one very much. This is from Annabelle. This was a present from my mom, and it is quite good. I have only ever tried one other product from Annabelle, a brow pencil, which I really love and I have repurchased. So there we go. Those are the 3 highlights. Again, excuse my veiny hand. You can see this looks a bit more gold. This looks a bit more silver, and that looks a bit more pink. That's how I would describe it, at least. It's challenging to compare them on the hand rather than the face. And they all look pretty similar in terms of blinginess and whatnot, but I promise you the MAC one is just the most out there. And on the face, this one, it just looks a bit too powdery, and maybe that's because it's pink, so it shows up more obviously than the other 2. But yeah, I'm not obsessed with this one. It is a mini, which means that it could be pannable, but as you can tell, highlights take forever to finish. So I don't know if this is anytime in my future, but because I have been using it over the past couple months, I think that in 2026 I'm ready for a bit of a break. I haven't used this very much, as you can see. So I'm gonna use this a bit, pull that into the rotation, and eventually start panning this. So yeah, 3 powders in my powder highlight collection. Ooh, actually, so in June we had 3.5, but last December I had 2.5 because this was actually present last December. So yeah, I've actually gone up since last year, which I didn't realize, but only by 0.5. And then, as I mentioned, no cream highlights, but that will be remedied quite soon. It's blush time. Wow. Look at all of my cream blushes. I would not have believed this a couple years ago because I did not like cream blushes. I know, who am I? Now, I think I flip-flopped a bit. First, I was like, I love cream blushes. Then I was like, I love powder blushes. Then I was like, I love only cream blushes. And now I'm somewhere in the middle. I think you need both cream blush and powder blush in a good makeup look. Like, every time. I don't feel complete unless I have both, which has been a real shift, but it's nice because it gives you more variety. You know what I mean? Anyways, oldest to newest, shall we? Most of these are pretty new. Well, not that new, but like they still feel relatively recent, I think, in comparison to this one, which was so old. I think it's like that. Or maybe like that. Okay, so NYX stick blush. This, I love it. This is a go-to. This is my like designated blush that I bring with me on trips because I just know that it's always gonna look good. It is quite pigmented, but you can sheer it out. Like, you don't have to use that much, but I have on occasion used way too much of this just because it is kind of deceiving in that way. It's just like a deep pink, and it's great formula, consistency, looks lovely on the cheeks, pretty natural. Then we've got the Cloud Paint from Glossier in Spark. Now, I love this, but I do not wear it enough because you have to be quite careful about it because it is such a deep pigmented blush. I'm not going to squeeze, I'm just going to tap out whatever is on there. So just a tiny bit. It does blend out quite well, but again, you just have to be so careful. But really pretty color. I think that in January, I'm going to bring this into my makeup bag because I feel like I have had so few times that I have worn it in 2025. I was focusing on my blush roulette, which is exclusively powder blushes, but I need to give this one the time of day. This one I've actually had a little bit of a renaissance with the past couple of weeks, because when I was trying to decide which blushes to bring with me on my trip to London, this is the only cream blush that I had brought on our honeymoon, which was a 3+ week trip, and I kind of got tired of it by the end of that trip, to be honest. So usually this is the go-to one, but when I was planning out my makeup for this most recent trip, I was like, I kind of want to bring a different cream blush. So I was surveying the landscape. That is too pigmented. It's a little bit scary. It can go wrong sometimes. Same with that one, and this is not pigmented enough. So that left this Hourglass one, and I used it for the first time when I was doing very, very light makeup for the trip, like just for the plane. And I loved it. I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that I haven't reached for this in months and months. It is beautiful. It is just so natural looking and flattering on the face. It almost makes you look like you have a tan somehow. It's just that color of like corally orange. Yeah, beautiful. And so now I'm obsessed with this again, and this is what I have been reaching for on the daily since I got back as well. And then we've got this Beauty Counter blush, which is super nice, but it's just not very pigmented. You really have to use a lot in order to get it to show up on the face. And it does sort of blend away by itself quite easily, but it is a really nice peach shade. So this is another one that I should reach for sometime soon. I mean, most of these cream blushes I feel like I've neglected for the last little while because I've had powder blushes that I've been really, really focused on using, and so these have sort of gotten neglected. This one has certainly not gotten neglected, and this one hasn't been neglected the last little while, but this one, and this one, I really need to get some use out of those in the next couple months of 2026. And I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the blush roulette, at least for the first few months, see how I'm feeling. And so I'll give myself free rein to reach for whichever blushes I want to, which means more cream blushes will get used. So yeah, nice product, but somehow it just always seems to blend away by itself. Okay, and then we've got these two Milani blushes, and I keep pointing to this one because this one I've actually never used. I've never opened it. I don't know why. I think it's because it's a little bit intimidating to me. Like, it's just so red. But I think I will let myself use this in the first part of 2026 because I always like feeling like I'm starting the year with new stuff. Whether or not I actually am, I just, you know, I like newness. I like getting new clothes, new makeup, especially at the beginning of a new year. And especially because I don't tend to ask for very many material things as presents. And so it's just nice to feel like, oh, I've already got new products that I've never reached for. This was gifted to me last December, so I've had it for a full year without using it, which is kind of wild. But yeah, it's my time is coming up. I'm excited to start using this. This is in the shade Blushing Berry. Doesn't really look like a berry shade, but you know. And then this one is in the shade Coral Crush. That doesn't really look like a coral shade to me, but let's see how it compares to the other ones. It kind of looks like a combination between the Hourglass and the Glossier, and it is really, really nice, but I just need to be careful when I apply it. So yeah, those are all of my cream blushes. Beautiful, beautiful shades. I'm really happy with my cream blush collection. Let's look at how that compares to last year's numbers. So in June, I also had 6. These were the exact same ones that I had. And then in December last year, I had 4 because these I did not get until end of December. And then before that, I had 4. So yeah, I've had these 4 for a bit. These ones have been relatively new. But yeah, I'm really happy with this overall number. 6 feels good. I could actually see it increasing rather than decreasing because these ones all feel so new to me. So I wouldn't want to declutter them, and I also don't see them as being realistic to pan any of them. This probably would be the soonest because it's like that NYX concealer where, you know, you can see how much you're using. There's just less product in here. That's all that's left. How much product is in this? Let's compare them. 0.03 ounces. That's tiny. Okay, and let's compare it to this NYX one, which has 0.013 ounces. Wait. Oh, so this one has more? That does not seem right. This one seems like there's so much product in it. Oh, wait, that's it. Wow. I've used up a lot of this, but I've also had it for so many years. Wow, look at that. So yeah, it's probably been like half to 2/3 used up, and that has been over the course of years and years and years. So I don't think that's getting finished anytime soon. I still think that this is more realistic to finish, but not for, I don't know, 2 years at least. So this number is probably staying as it is, or I could see it increasing by 1 or 2 because I love cream blush. And I like that they're versatile because you can use them as lip products as well. And now let's move on to powder blushes. Okay, so should I do this in order of oldest to newest? I think it's probably like this, and then these two, and then these two, and then that. I think it's like that. Okay, there's some annoying music playing. Hopefully you can't hear that, but this is my blush collection. I think I'm taking too long on each of these categories, so I'm going to try to speed it up because if you've watched any of my inventory videos before, you have already seen most of my collection. It doesn't really change that much from year to year. But this is Mellow Wine from Wet n Wild. This is one that I have considered decluttering over the years. This is probably like in first or second place in terms of being ready to go. Like, it doesn't, I don't know, it's not great, but then whenever I use it, I'm like, oh no, actually this is a nice blush, and you know, I don't have much else like this in my collection in terms of color, even though it looks very generic. Yeah. Again, next year I'm probably gonna try to get myself to declutter it. We'll see. And then we've got this MAC blush, which I didn't realize that it's been shattered for so long, but in my inventory video last year, it was also shattered. Yeah, it's sad, but that's what it's looking like. And this is the part that I have taken out. And I'm almost finished this amount, but it takes a long time. I don't love a loose blush. I just wish it hadn't shattered. It makes me like want to get rid of it. I really do like the shade. This is Angel, because it's so pale. It's so light. I have nothing else like it, but I don't want to use it like this. It's just so much more difficult. Where's that music coming from? And then we've got my Tarte blushes. So this is probably first in order of what I want to declutter. It just gets hard pans so easily. It looks like gross inside, but whenever I use it, I'm like, oh, this is actually a really nice shade. And especially if I'm about to pan this blush, these are the most similar. So if I don't have this shade anymore, and then I don't have this shade, like this is the only really light neutral blush I have, I guess. So I'm not sure. I don't know. You guys are probably going to say I should declutter it. If I do a blush roulette this year, then this will be one of the main ones that I'm focusing on, trying to decide whether I should declutter it or not. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with this one. And then we've got my Tarte blush in Party. This was one I really wanted to get finished this year. We did not quite get there. As you can see, there's a lot of product left. So even if I work intently on this for the next few months, it's probably going to take that long. Like if this is the one blush I'm reaching for, I think it would probably still take to like March or April, just because that's how long blushes take realistically. But I do really love it, but I can see myself getting quite tired of it. But yeah, we'll get there eventually. And then we've got this Kiko Milano blush in Sunset Pomegranate, which is so fun. Look at how hot pink that is. Don't have any other hot pinks in my blush collection. I really do enjoy it. It is a bit powdery, but the shade is just so fun. And then we've got this MAC blush in Warm Soul, and this is really nice, although it is a bit more shimmery than I would like. I kind of wish it didn't have the shimmer, but it's nice because it is just such a like neutral, and it's hard to apply too much of this. I like when blushes are like that because I tend to over apply my blush. So if I've got one that is not super pigmented, then I'm not gonna struggle with it. So this is nice. This was decluttered to me by Shauna, actually. On the other hand, a blush that is really easy to over apply is this gorgeous Too Faced one. Look at that. My mom gave this to me this year. This is in the shade Berry Dreamy, and it's just so pretty. I haven't swatched any of these, but I feel like I ought to swatch this one. Look at that. So fun. So as you can see, you need to be very careful with how you apply this, because otherwise your cheeks are just going to look real purple. But if you do it right, then it just looks lovely. It's such a fun color. So I really do love this blush, and I also love the packaging. This is definitely my favorite packaging out of any blushes in my collection. It's just so pretty. So those are all of the powder blushes in my collection. If we look at last year, okay, so in June we had 7, last December we had 7, the June before that we had 7, December 2023 we had 9. So the number is overall going down, but not super quickly, because I just love blush. I find them challenging to declutter. But what I can see changing in the next half year or so is finishing this off, and then potentially decluttering these two. So I can see it getting smaller. Also, I have to say I can potentially see it getting bigger, because I do love blush. And if people declutter blush to me, I have a hard time saying no. So, you know, it could get smaller overall, but it could also just stay the same size. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy with the overall number of blushes that I have. And I almost purchased a new one recently, but I didn't. And honestly, I'm kind of regretting not purchasing it. But I'll talk about that in a future video. So now we're gonna do face palettes. I don't think this has changed for like a year and a half, but let's check the numbers. Okay, December 2023, I had 4. December 2024, I had 3, and it has not changed since then. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Last year, I thought that I was going to declutter this, but it actually really came in clutch in like March to May. I was using this a ton, and this was actually great in my bridal makeup looks. I just found it to be the perfect like blush topper. I know that's what people say, like it's not great as a blush because it's so highlighty. It's great as a blush topper. But I don't really have uses for a blush topper, but on my wedding day, this is perfect. So I think I'm going to keep it around. Yeah, I don't know. I have not been able to part with it, even if I don't love it. And then we've got these 2 Jason Wu palettes, which are incredible. I feel like Jason Wu is such an underhyped brand. I never hear anyone talking about it, but the 3 products that I have from this brand are top tier. Like, I love all of them. So we've got this blush trio in Beautiful Earthling. Stunning. The shades are so beautiful and so good, because in each of these palettes there's like 1 really vibrant, really out there shade, and then 2 that are much more wearable, and I find you can really build these. So I actually like this one better, but this one is also great and such a fun hot pink. Definitely brighter than the other hot pink in my collection, so these really add something. I just find for me an orange to be somehow more wearable. I don't know. It might be because we're in the winter right now, and so I feel like hot pink is a summer shade, so that's when I'd be wearing it, whereas in the winter I'd go more for orange. But these 2 shades I love. They're just such beautiful neutrals, and I don't have anything else like these 2 in my collection, especially this one. That one is just, it's so nice because it's like a corally nude shade, and you can really build it up. No chance of applying too much with that one. So I love both of these palettes so much. I cannot picture myself ever decluttering these. I also can't picture myself ever panning them because they're entire palettes. I've never panned a palette. But yeah, those are my 3 face palettes. I guess we should do brows. Ooh, I just realized there's a couple of their products that I don't have readily accessible for brows, so I need to go grab those.
I just turned the gain down on my microphone because the music outside is so loud. I keep looking out the window and I can see absolutely nothing. No idea what it is. Anyways, I had to go grab these because these are actually in my like backup makeup bag. I do have a bag that has my like extras. It's mostly skincare stuff. It's like, you know, press on nails, backups of sunscreen and moisturizer, and then there's a couple of makeup products, and these two included. And I forgot this. So I guess we should divide this into 2 categories. Well, kind of 3. So, okay, first we've got our brow powders. This is the one that I'm currently working on. It is from e.l.f. That used to be a cream, but this is such an old duo that I just removed the cream so that I've just been working on the powder. And you can see I've hit pan. I'm really happy about that. Now, there's a ton of powder in here, so again, I'm not deluding myself into thinking that hitting pan means that I'm going to finish this very quickly, but I'm really happy about my progress on this year because I just started working on this year. Like, it's probably, I don't know, 6 months or something like that, maybe a little bit longer, and yeah, seeing progress on it. So it might take like 3 years to finish, but hey, the end is in sight. I like this. I don't love it. I mean, I think brow powders are, you know, all kind of similar. It's just more about if the shade matches your brows. And then we've got this NYX Duo. If I was a normal person with makeup, I would have decluttered this by now because, as I said, this is going to take forever. This is going to take years. Why do I need a backup? But I don't want to get rid of it because it's a perfectly good product, and I actually used to own this. This was a backup that I purchased because I panned the other one, and this was going out of, they were discontinuing it, and so I knew I wanted a backup. So I purchased this. I think it's actually better than the e.l.f. one, but they're pretty darn similar. That dark one is quite dark. Did I use the whole thing up last time? I don't remember, but that lighter shade is great. So those are the 2 brow kits / brow powders in my collection. Ooh, I keep remembering other brow products. We've got this one. So this is the only brow gel, I guess I would call it. It's like a potted brow gel. I think this is quite old because I can kind of see it like lifting away from the sides. I maybe should focus on this again instead of focusing on the e.l.f. one because I feel like this will keep better, whereas gels, you know, they dry up a lot quicker. So I think probably in 2026 I'm gonna switch over to using this instead of the powder. I was doing that for a while. I think I maybe got tired of it or something, but this should probably go into my project pan for 2026. It is a good shade on me. It's a little bit deep, but yeah, I like it. Okay, those are those products. And then let's move along to brow gels. So we first got this Maybelline Brow Precise product. I don't really like this that much. I find it a bit messy. Like, there is a comb, but I don't know. I don't find it to be the best. I don't like the shade. It's hard for me to explain exactly why I don't like it, but it's just, I think I would prefer it if it was like a mascara type wand. Ironically, I use old mascaras for brow gel because when there's only a little bit of product left, I actually find it really good for brushing through the brows. And so ironically, I think that a mascara is better than this actual purposeful brow gel. I just don't like this kind of comb. If it had those bristles like all the way around, that would be one thing, but I don't know why it's like a paddle. That just doesn't work for me. So I don't love this, and this is one that I would like to get out of my collection sometime soon. This is the one I reach for on like a daily basis, but when I want my makeup to look really good, that's when I use this e.l.f. Brow Lift. I use it with a spoolie, and I love it. Yeah, I just love doing brows like brushed up and out, and this one doesn't do as good a job with that, and it doesn't stick them in place for as long. I'm not going to claim that this is like the best, like it slicks your brows down like concrete, but it is pretty good at slicking them down and at lasting. So I do really, really love this product. This was another one that I purchased as part of my like wedding makeup kit, and I'm really glad that I did because I love it now. I can't see myself going back to like regular brow gel, to be honest. And then we've got these 2
brow pencils. These are both from Annabelle. As I mentioned, these are the Annabelle products I've tried. This, okay, if I really, really wanted my makeup to look good, what I'm going to use is this and this. That's it. These are the two products that are like my holy grails out of my brow collection. I just love a brow pencil. It's just so much easier to be precise than with a brow powder. I just really like it, and the color is great for me. Yeah, great shade on me. Love this product. This is what I bring with me when I travel because I know my brows are always going to look good, and that is just such a huge part of your makeup look. And then we've got the Annabelle Stay Sharp brow liner. I think probably what happened is this was discontinued, and so I purchased this as a backup so that I would have something, but that was before I discovered all of these other products and when I was like, I should use those first. So I really did not need to purchase this, but I am intrigued to see if I like it or not. I think it's a mechanical brow pencil, so I don't think I'm gonna like it as much as this. You just can't get quite as much control, I find, but I am keeping it for when I inevitably finish this. But it's taking like years and years because again, I only use this on pretty special occasions. But that is my brow setup. I think it's exactly the same as last year, except that I brought this into my collection. But let's check that. So yeah, last year I had one eyebrow gel, now I have two. I had two brow pencils, I had one cream gel, and I had those two brow kits. So otherwise, this has stayed exactly the same since last year, and I can't see it changing very much next year, except that I would like to finish this. I would also like to finish this, but I don't know how long that will take. So that is my brow collection. Okay, we're gonna do mascaras now. Also, I figured out the culprit with the music. It's this bar across the street. They're like dressed up as Santa. Oh, it's so loud. Anyways. These are the mascaras that are currently in my makeup bag. I don't know if we're going to categorize these at all. Am I missing any? This seems so reasonable. If you've seen my mascara collections in years past, this is crazy. Color, maybe? Should we do by color? Alright, that's kind of by color. What do you think? These are my mascaras. Okay, let's first look back at previous years and see how many we had. I actually guessed that this year I would have, I think I said 17. Let's check. Yeah, so I guessed 17. June 2025, I had 21. So I thought I had gone down 4 since then. That seems a bit optimistic, but we'll see. Last December, I had 23. The December before that, I had 26. So, okay, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. I have 17. I cannot believe it. I think my goal this year was to have fewer than 20, like to hit under the 20 mark, and I did it. This is incredible. I'm so happy. I can't believe it. I don't actually know the total number of makeup products in my collection. As you know, I'm trying to get down to 125, and this makes me think that I'm actually hitting it, that I'm actually going to get under 125 because I guessed correctly with these products. I'm not going to go through all of these. I think I will just say how many of them I think will be finished next year. So this one, this L'Oreal one, is almost finished. That'll be done next year. And this other L'Oreal one also almost finished. So that'll be done next year. Other than that, it's hard to say. I think these three are probably going to be next after that. The rest of them are all pretty wet, to be honest. Maybe this one also. It's hard to say. My favorites are always this One by One. Always a fave. This, surprisingly, waterproof Maybelline one. I started off not liking it at all, and now I love it. This Tarte one is so good. I mean, you gotta be careful because it can really clump, but that one is great. This Benefit one is incredible for length, but it is not waterproof, so I got to be careful about how I use that. Yeah, I would say those are the ones that come to mind first as my favorites, but I'm really happy with how curated down this mascara collection is. I have not had a mascara collection this size since probably like grade 10. Keep in mind, most of these are very old. I know that. You don't need to tell me that they're too old, that I've had them for too long, because I know, and I have made the decision to keep them anyways. But yeah, I do want to play around with this one more because I think I've only worn it a couple of times. It is not waterproof, so that's why, but this might be the only one that's joined my collection in the last year. I think it was this past year that it joined. It might have been the year before. Honestly, everything that's within the past like 3 years feels like a new product to me. But yeah, this is my mascara collection. How stunning. Please, I would love to hear how proud you are of me. But yeah, let's move on to the next category. I think it's time to do eyeshadows. So we are going to start out with single eyeshadows, and then we're going to move on to eyeshadow palettes. Eek. So many mascaras, but so many fewer than I used to have. I've never seen anyone on YouTube with a collection this size even. I know I am unique, but hey, 1 powder and 17 foundation sounds like a good ratio to me. Okay, I've got 6 here. There we go, that's 7. So I used to have way more single eyeshadows, but I have done many declutters. Oh, I'm forgetting one. Fenty, I think it is. Where did I put that one? Fenty. Oh, it's right here. But I was also missing this one. This is actually a duo. It's actually a highlight, but I use it as an eyeshadow. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 single eyeshadows. Now some of these really ought to leave my collection. I am well aware of that. This Tarte one and this Pixie one. Next year I am going to do some kind of project where I decide if I should get rid of these, whether I like force myself to use them a few times and see if they work. This I have actually used a handful of times in the past couple months, and I have quite enjoyed it, but it is just so deep. But this one, I don't think there's any hope for this one. The only reason I've kept it around was because it kept breaking, and I was like, oh, I can definitely finish it because there's so little left now. But it's an eyeshadow. Like, even if you think there's a tiny amount left, that's still gonna take like a year of panning. I just don't want to pan an eyeshadow that I don't love for a year. That does not sound like a good time. So okay, we've talked about those. I haven't used this one very much recently. I prefer a lighter shimmer. It's just a little bit too gold, you know? This is a good base because it never creases. It's a little bit too cool toned for my preference, but it is a good eyeshadow. This one is also a good base, but it's similarly one that I really could declutter because I would never wear this shade on its own. It's just not a good pink on me at all. Too cool toned, too shimmery. So yeah, don't love this one at all. These two I would say are my favorite single eyeshadows. Just a lovely shimmery bronze. It's actually kind of similar to the other Fenty, but this one, I think because it's more gold and powdery, it's just not quite as wearable. And then this Vesca one, I would say this is my favorite single eyeshadow. I mean, the packaging looks super beat up, but that's because I always have it in my makeup bag and I always bring it with me traveling because it's such a perfect one and done shade. It's such a beautiful rose gold shimmer. I love it. Look at that. That's like my, what's that shade? Urban Decay Space Cowboy. This is my version of Space Cowboy. I love it so much. That will not ever get decluttered. And then we've got this House Labs one, which is super pretty, but it's very difficult to pull off because you cannot wear another eyeshadow with this. Like, this is the whole look, and it's so hot pink that you need to be very careful with how you apply it because, you know, it needs to go in the right places. That was me applying as little as I possibly could. It's just, yeah, it's very hot pink, so it's quite a look. But those are my single eyeshadows. You know, kind of a mixed bag. Some products that I really should declutter. But how many did I have in previous years? Oh, it says in June I had 6. Wait, am I counting one of these incorrectly? Because none of these have joined my collection since June. Oh, eyeshadow paint pots. Yeah, that's why. Okay.
So I kept these as a separate category. So 6 now, 6 in June. Last December I also had 6, and December before that I had 8. So I have gotten this collection down somewhat, but clearly I have not decluttered it in a while. So hopefully that is something that I will be doing in the coming months. This one, and maybe this one. These are the ones that probably need to leave the most. But, you know, it's a pretty tame collection. I don't have that many, so I'm not too fussed about having a couple extras. But I think that is where we are going to cut it off here, because this video is already well over an hour, and I know you like inventory videos, but we are going to do a part 2, so make sure that you come back for that. It will be coming out next week. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you then. I would love to hear what you think of my collection so far this year, and yeah, stay tuned. And that is it for part 1. I'm so sorry for the cliffhanger, but you gotta admit this video is long enough as it is. We will not be talking about a book that I've been reading lately because I just don't need a video that is longer than an hour. You know, having filmed it, I think it is going to be longer than an hour, but that's about the max we can do. But definitely come back next week for part 2, where I look at all of my lip products, single eyeshadows, eyeliners, and when we count up the total number of makeup products in our collection, and I see if I achieved that goal of 125 makeup products in 2025. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you think I should style my hair. I'm really curious what it's gonna look like when I like curl it or do bathrobe belt curls, but I just love it. I feel like I pulled a Kelly Gooch because she recently also chopped her hair, and I love how she's styled it, but she takes way more time to do her hair every morning than I am willing to spend on it. So, quick hairstyles, that's what I'm looking for. But that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will speak to you next week.